Okay, hey guys. So we're going to be talking weight loss today. We're going to be sharing Stacey's story. So my name is Ethan Lees. I'm a holistic practitioner. This is Stacey, a good friend, and also works in health. And we're going to be sharing some information that you may not know. And I'm going to start by sharing a screenshot or a picture, rather, of Stacey literally only 2 years ago. Now you can see how wonderful and beautiful she is right now. That was where she was in when was that picture taken?
20 2022, yeah.
2022. So
Hmm.
I met Stacey shortly after that. She was on a health journey because she damaged herself and was in a mess. And so the weight was just part of the problem. She put a lot of weight on after. And this is, in fact, this wasn't even her heaviest. She was actually heavier than this, but this is the picture we've got. Um, so what we did is we started a journey to balance her body, okay, because her body was way out of balance. It was a mess. So we started to balance her body completely naturally. And what happened was she started losing weight quite rapidly. And I'm going to share where she was, and you can tell us how long later this was in a second, Stacey. But this the second picture there. The first picture, she's still a way to go. This second picture is where she got to. How long did that take from the first picture to this picture here?
Well, to be honest, the weight that I am in that picture only took me about 7 months. But I kind of got stuck at that weight. But yeah, that's almost exactly a year apart from 2022 to 2023, and that was where I had lost my top weight loss was 112 pounds. And that's the picture you see there, 112 pounds lighter.
Okay, so that I mean that is an amazing achievement, 112 pounds, and it's huge, 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 and that wasn't achieved particularly by dieting. Just so everybody knows, that was not achieved by dieting. That was achieved by balancing her body, her gut, and so on, and removing toxins and detox and stuff like that. And so that's where she got. The problem was that when she got to there, she then plateaued. And this is common in weight loss. She plateaued and basically stayed there for the next year. Okay, now she went
Hmm.
up a little bit and down a little bit, but she was around that area for the next year, still with body balanced. And so we knew we got to do something else. And we're going to talk a little bit about GLP-1. And we're going to also talk a little bit about gut reset. But let's talk a little bit about GLP-1. So GLP-1 has become well known. I think a few years ago, nobody had heard of GLP-1. Well, GLP-1 is a hormone that your body makes. It's supposed to be in your body, it's supposed to be working, and it does a number of things. And two of the things that it's become pretty famous for is weight loss and insulin control. And the reason it's become famous is because there's a group of drugs. Probably two of the most famous ones are Ozempic and Wegovy, but there's a bunch of others that have a synthetic version of GLP-1. They are not GLP-1, just to be clear. They have a synthetic version that operates on the GLP-1 receptors, which GLP-1 should be doing, but these synthetic drugs do instead. Now, they've become famous in two ways. So in one way, they become famous, and huge numbers of people are using them because they are very successful in reducing weight and controlling insulin. And so they're being prescribed by doctors for those two things. And it would be great if that's where the story ended, but it doesn't because they have a lot of potential side effects, including some extremely serious ones. This isn't the place to go into that, but you can do your own studies on that if you want. But very, very severe side effects for many, many people. And the longer they're on it, the more chance of those side effects. And those side effects do include things as serious as cancer. Okay, so um, and still people are using them because of the benefits. Personally, I don't think it's worth it. I think there's many other ways that we can do these things. But anyway, so because these drugs are working on the GLP-1 receptors, it's suddenly GLP-1 has become a big buzzword, a big thing. So recently, a company came out with a natural product which has the ability, in clinical trials, it was shown to significantly increase your own GLP-1. Again, this product is not GLP-1. It's some natural herbs and foods, but it has the ability to help your body to make its own GLP-1 and significantly raise it. Again, we're not going to go into too much detail on this video about that, but you can connect with Stacey or myself if you want to look at the clinical trials or whatever. I don't want to spend too much time getting into that, but suffice to say, it's 100% natural. And it has in the fact that it's raising your own GLP-1. So it's your GLP-1, your hormone, naturally, not a synthetic. And by the way, the synthetic was based upon a lizard venom, the Hillia monster. For those of you that know that particular lizard, and that was what the drugs are based on. So this is based on more natural things, as I mentioned. So what we did was we said, hey, Stacey, this new thing's become available and it's working phenomenally. In the clinical trials, people were losing 9 pounds in 8 weeks, which is incredible, and it gets even better over time. So they were in 12 weeks, just another 4 weeks, they were losing 25 pounds. So over time, it just builds and builds and builds as it balances your body. Now, Stacey had already done a lot of work on balancing her body, so she's probably likely to get better results with this product than someone that hasn't done that pre-work. Okay, so just to let you know, and she is doing extremely well on it. So we're going to go to the next slide. Now, this is 1 week, just 1 week on the product. And I want to point out a few things, difference between these two pictures. So first of all, if you look at her bum here and look at it here, you're going to see this is a much longer line now. Now, it's not because her bum has got bigger. It's because her leg has got smaller. All right, so her leg here has shrunk. Okay, and also, if you look at her belly here and here, her belly has moved up. So her leg has kind of lengthened. Obviously, it hasn't, but just the fat was making it look shorter. And her bum has got bigger, although it hasn't got bigger. It's just her leg has got smaller. But this is one single week. So, Stacey, how many pounds is this showing? Like, what have you lost in that single week?
I've lost 6 pounds total.
Right, 6 pounds in 1 week. So again, just as a reminder, there will be people that do that, but in part, that's so fast because of the work she's done beforehand, the balancing stuff that she's done before she started this. So let's look at another picture. This is also the 1 week picture on the back. So you can see very clearly here versus here where it's smoothed out as she's lost the fat on her back. Right here, that is such a big difference right here. And the same thing on her arms. If you look at this line here and here, you're going to find you're not seeing it here on this picture. So we're seeing differences already, just 6 pounds. It's only 6 pounds, but it's already making a visible difference. But more importantly, and let's just we'll come off the pictures a minute. More importantly, we've got to understand that the inches are more noticeable than the actual pounds. But this is where Stacey had plateaued. She's been in this place for a year, even though she's doing a lot of things right, that hasn't kicked into place where she's losing the weight until we started to address the hormones. And the hormones specifically is GLP-1. And I want to just say there that a lot of people are under the impression that if you're overweight, it's because you're eating too much. Well, Stacey's not changed her diet at all. And we've got many other people that are losing large amounts of weight, also not changing their diet. So this is just about changing your hormones. Now, when you change your hormones, many people find that you naturally will eat less. You naturally will
Mhm.
not have the craving. So there will be a change of diet for many people, but it's not a discipline that you're having to do. It's just that, hey, I don't want that now. So there are some changes. And in fact, Stacey, share a little bit about some of the changes that you've not used discipline, but you've just found happening since you've been taking this product.
Right. Well, I've noticed that it's helping me control my habits more than anything else. I have a habit of giving myself large portions because it's really hard for me to feel satisfied when I eat. I don't ever feel full. I've noticed that my whole life. So I've always been like a calorie counter or a food weigher because I can't go over a certain amount of food or I'll gain. So I've been serving myself the same portions and finding that I cannot eat those portions anymore at all. The first few days, I noticed a big difference and like getting full really fast. Now it's to the point where if I don't listen to my body when it says it's full the first time, like the first time I take a bite and I'm like, oh, that was too much. If I don't stop and I feel like I'm wasting food and try to power through my salad or whatever, I feel sick. It makes me feel physically like, ugh, gross. So that sensation has been increasing actually over the week, and getting,
So this is when you overeat. So a lot of people know
yes.
that if you eat too much, you don't feel good.
Hmm.
Some people don't have that feeling, and it's because of the
Hmm.
hormonal balance. So now Stacey's starting to get that feeling when she's overeating. So
Hmm.
it makes you not want to overeat. Um,
Hmm.
so it's not about now you're having to be disciplined. It's about you don't want it, and you actually can feel not great if you do overeat, which is
Hmm.
fabulous. Now, what about cravings? Have you noted? Because one of the things that I'm hearing from person after person after person, that this term that they're using, which I frankly wasn't particularly aware of until this, but they use the term food noise, and they say the food noise has gone. So
Yep.
tell us about that.
So I don't know how it is in the UK and Brazil where you're at, but on our television, it's all about food, food commercials, people always eating food in movies, food, food, food. So if you're sitting and watching TV, you're always running to the cabinet to get a snack or something, oh, that looks good or whatever. I have literally none of that. None of that. And I would also like to point out that this
Hold
week
on,
was the
hold
week I
on. Let me
had.
just clarify. You have none of that
Yeah.
now, or you've never had that.
No, I have none of that now. Like the reason that I would struggle at night is because I would watch like television at night. That's how I unwind, and I would get the munchies because yeah, I'm watching food on the television. This really savory, good looking food. Every other commercial, you never know. And so it makes you want to go raid your refrigerator or your cabinet.
Ah.
And so I'm not doing that, which is huge. But
And
also
you're not doing it because you don't want to do it, not because you're
I don't have any desire.
desperate.
It doesn't even cross my
Right.
mind, which is crazy because I've grown up. Started gaining weight at a very young age, 6 years old, and I think I know why that is now. But reflecting back on my childhood, I remember always having this like bottomless pit type of appetite and feeling like there was something wrong with me because I couldn't control myself and I wasn't disciplined. But now I'm realizing there's no way I could have controlled that because it was so powerful. Now I'm like, oh, completely in control of it. I'm completely in control of it. If, let's say, I walk by the cabinet, I'm like, oh, I look in there and I'm like, ooh, sweet stuff. I'll look at it and then I'm like, wait, but I'm not hungry. I'm not hungry. So it's like it's retraining my habit of going to the cabinet as well as turning off the thoughts of food when I'm seeing things that trigger hunger, like seeing food, smelling food, all of that. I'm like, no, I'm good, which has never happened to me in my life. Never.
Awesome. And just for
Mhm.
people, so that this works on a number of different mechanisms. So one of them is that Stacey's talking about is satiety. So you feel full and you don't feel the need for others. That's one of the things, but it also works in a number of other ways, one of which is with insulin. So it's balancing your insulin and your blood sugars and so on. So that has a big impact as well. And there's a few other things that it does. So it's doing a range of different things. Okay. So, I want people that may be carrying more weight than they know is good for them to understand that a lot of the time it really is not your fault. We're having our hormones and other parts of our body through various mechanisms thrown out of balance. And once that happens, they do this with animals. If they want to fatten up animals, they will give them certain foods like corn, for example. It fattens them up. They're doing the same to humans. It's not our fault. So we just need to learn a few things and apply a few things. And so that's what Stacey has done. We're seeing the results. We haven't shown pictures, but you can kind of see. You saw the first picture. So one of the things that you haven't seen, just look at Stacey's face right now compared to where it was. It's just awesome. It's just blossoming and beautiful. I love it. So so let's talk a little bit about, well, actually, before we get to that, let me just say, so this product is actually 2 products, and if you're interested in those products, then just connect with Stacey or myself, whoever you know, and we can help you with that. But it's 2 products, and you take one, and then 30 minutes or more after that, you take the other. So one is capsules and one is a drink, and it's $179. Okay, although it's not going to cost you $179 because you're going to save money on food, depending on person.
A ton of money on food. A ton of money.
You might save $179. You might save half of that. It just depends, but you will save money. But it's $179. Now, this product was only launched after a clinical trial and other tests. It was launched only a few weeks ago, and the company bought 10 times more product than the maximum amount they've ever sold of the launch of any product. And that product sold out in 2 weeks. So I've got some good news and bad news. So the bad news is currently it's sold out. Okay, it literally sold out. Even though it was 10 times more product, it's sold out in a couple of weeks. And it's not going to be back until December. All right, so next month, and we're not sure exactly when in December. So that's the bad news. The good news is you can order it on pre-order right now. Make sure you're on the list, and you'll get stock as soon as it comes in. However, it's not a big deal because it's actually a really good idea to do a bit of prep work before you start the product. So a lot of people don't, but you will get better, faster results if you do. And it's a good idea anyway. And so one of the critical things to do is to prepare your gut, because one of the reasons that we're not making, one of the key reasons that we're not making enough of the hormone without help is because our gut has been damaged, and it's usually been damaged. The main cause of gut damage is either antibiotics or usually glyphosate, but stuff that they spray on the crop. So one of those 2 things, one or both of those things. And by the way, if you never take antibiotics, you still are being exposed to antibiotics, because there's antibiotics in our water, there's antibiotics in our food. So you can't get away from antibiotics. But if you take antibiotics because of whatever reason, then it can take as long as 5 years to recover from one set of antibiotics. It does immense damage to your gut. Now, if the antibiotics save your life, cool. You now worry about fixing your gut. But there's a lot of antibiotics that are taken for reasons where antibiotics were really not needed. There's usually natural things that you can do. But we're not going to go down that road either, because we want to keep this video fairly concise. But the point is, most people who are carrying too much weight, unless they're just overeating massively, because that's obviously a reason you can be overweight, just because you're a comfort eater, for example. So that's a possibility. Although often that's tied to hormonal imbalances as well. But anyway, your gut is almost certainly messed up. Okay. And what we like to do is not just activate the body's ability to make GLP-1, which is great, but we want to try and fix the gut. And it's even better if you do that first. If anybody's interested in doing this weight loss program, first of all, you can get your name on the list now and do a pre-order right now. So as soon as it comes in, you're there. But I would recommend that in addition to that, that you start right now. Don't mess around and get on a gut reset so that you're preparing your body as best as you can. And that alone is going to really help you, massively help you. You're going to see all sorts of symptoms helped, that people have helped by the gut reset. Now, if you've got known digestive problems, let's say you've got constipation or diarrhea or bloating, IBS, any of these things, then you 100% definitely need to be doing gut work. You just got to. But even if you're not suffering with obvious gut things, you're going to have problems because especially if you're carrying weight, it means something's not balanced, something's not working. So get in touch, speak to Stacey or myself or whoever gives you this video, and ask them what you need to do to get yourself first of all on the list of the GLP-1 product, and then for now to get yourself started resetting your gut, rebalancing your gut, because as I say, that's absolutely critical. So anything else that you would like to add to that, Stacey?
Just that before I started this journey, I never ever thought that my weight was possibly related to something that wasn't my fault. I always thought it was a discipline issue and that I was just a loser and that I sucked at dieting or whatever. And now this whole experience from start to now has shown me that it was never really my fault. It was something that was dysregulated in my body and things were just out of balance. And my body is rewarding me greatly now that I'm supporting it the proper way and not focusing on so much diet, which obviously I try to eat well, but focusing on balancing instead. And that has been the secret for me.
Awesome. And that's so important. And I really want to re-emphasize that very message you just gave, that we've got to stop blaming people. It really isn't their fault. There's so many things that we blame people for that are out of their control because we've been wrongly educated.
Yes.
It's not calorie in, calorie out. There just isn't. There's other factors in place depending on what your calories are. For example, is one factor, but your metabolism. That's why somebody can go along for 10, 20, 30 years eating a diet and they're slim, and then all of a sudden they don't change their diet and they start piling the weight on, right? Well, that proves it's not the diet, because you've been eating that for 20, 30 years. So something else has changed. Something hormonal typically has gone on. So for women, it might be that they have a baby. And after that, or maybe they have the first baby, they go back. Second baby, third baby, bam, they can't lose the weight. There's shifts in the hormones. It's not about the diet. Now, obviously, the diet plays a part. But as I said earlier, even the diet, part of the hormonal imbalance causes you to crave the bad foods. So if you've got constant cravings to eat sugar or something bad, then it's very difficult to resist. Most of us don't have the discipline. There are a few individuals that do, that can just over discipline whatever their body's wanting to do, but they're few and far between. So when we're craving sweets and chocolates and chips and ice cream or whatever it may be, we might resist it 80% of the time, but 20% of the time we don't. And that especially happens at certain social occasions, and now it's Thanksgiving, Christmas, this or that, and we're at somewhere where there's all this bad food. It's hard. It's hard if you've got the cravings because you've got the hormonal imbalances. And that's one of the reasons this is working for you, is that it's changing the hormones so that you don't have those strong desires anymore. You've still got the mental addiction, you've still got the attachment. So you mentioned the movies and stuff. So I know that as a kid, I developed a mental attachment between going to the movies and drinking soda and popcorn and what have you. And so it's you develop in your head. And I certainly developed this thing where put a movie on and it goes with snacks. And it's irrelevant of whether you're hungry. Yes, it's movie snacks, right? That's a mental addiction. That's a mental thing. So we've got and then we've got the physical craving, and that's what this is dealing with. So you still have to work on the mental, like, no, I'm not going to do it. But you don't have the craving to go with it, which is perfect. Awesome. Right. All right, everyone. Well, I hope that you found this helpful and useful. And as I say, get in touch and we can help you begin your journey to health, vibrance, and balance. God bless everyone. Bye-bye.